to keep in mind FA in Forex? Yeah, not a lot. You wouldn't look at it daily, but there are certain circumstances where you have to keep in mind of FA. That's generally always the case in traditional markets, you know, stocks, Forex, future. But I would say like 8 out of 10, the setup is already there in terms of TA. You know, FA, all it does is ignite the move, you know, accelerate the move, or, you know, slow down the move. The setup is already done, is what I would say, right? But there are certain circumstances where it could be a really bad news. It was looking bullish, it was really bad news, and then it just dies, right? And then a really good example, if you guys remember, is BA, right? Boeing. Right, Boeing, right? If you guys remember this thing, right, it was really looking really bullish, right? And then what did it do? It just died. But did it die at a random spot? No, it died. It dumped to a proper spot, and then we pumped, and then rejected, and then continuation down. Right now we're holding support. Right, so you can anticipate levels and right, but there are stuff. A good set. Well, if you hate waiting, okay, I'm the same as well. I am quite impatient when it comes to other stuff in life, but when it comes to trading, I don't know. I just don't care. I mean, I've been waiting for this long since, I don't know, here. Do I care? I mean, could it never go to 10,000 ever again? Unlikely. Highly unlikely, but it could. But I'm still going to wait for it. The same reason I waited, if you guys remember, there was a coffee box. The same reason I waited for a profit target here as well for my longs. Could we have never gone to this level ever again when we were here somewhere? Of course we could have. But I'm still I still waited for it and got it. The same principle. Of course, I will do shorter time frame trades, you know, scalps or whatever, right? But my longer plan doesn't change. I wait for a level and I wait for that level. Simple. If it gets there, I get my fill. If it doesn't get there, I'll look for other setups. But I'll still wait for these levels to be hit. You know, these levels to be hit, etc., etc., right? So it's about patience when it comes to general trading. I mean, you can trade the smaller time frame, you can trade the 3-minute, right? I trade the 3-minute all the time. You can make a lot of money trading the 3-minute, right? But it gets boring really quickly. Because either you would make a lot of money, because if you know what you're doing, you can make a lot of money. If you don't know what you're doing, you're probably going to get stopped out all the time. And it's not going to be interesting, right? After you traded for the last 2 hours, the 3-minute candles, 3-minute chart, the last 2 hours of scalping and trading and scalping and trading, it gets a little bit boring, I'm not going to lie. Right? It is profitable, but it gets a little bit repetitive and boring. Then what do? You go, okay, that's it, I'm done for the day. I have realized whatever profits I need to do for the day. I'll still hold on to my long-term positions, but in terms of my daily profits that I need to make, I am done. And sometimes you do have to restrict yourself like that. You know? I mean, everyone has greed. I have greed. And everyone wants to make as much money as possible. But the probability is probably going to lose money than make money. Because remember, 90% of traders are losers. So probability will tell you that you're probably going to lose money than make money. So you don't want to fight against those odds. Why? What do they call it? Something fate. Why something fate? What is the saying? Why fight fate now? What is something? What do they call it? Fuck, I forgot the word. What they call it? Why fight fate? No, it's not fight fate. It's something. Why go against fate or something like that, right? That's what they call it. I forgot the word. So it's the same thing. You know, how many trades would you take in those 2 or 3 hours? Why fight trend? Why fight fate or whatever you call it. Yeah. In 2-3 hours, it depends on setup. If it's really volatile, you might be doing like 5-10 trades, right? But if it's not, if it's really sideways and shit, you're probably doing couple, 1 or 2 maybe. So it completely depends. You don't force yourself to a trade. Even on the 3 minute, you don't force it. You still look for proper spots. And it's not like you can FOMO in and force the trade. And you go, oh my god, I just want this thing to die. I'm gonna, sell it and make the market move my direction. Right? You can do that if you can move the markets. But I learned a long time ago that I did not have the capacity to move markets. Right now I do, in crypto anyway, right? But when I didn't, people always think that the market's going to go my way. You should never think that way. You should always think, I can't move the markets. So what do I need to do? I need to risk or limit my risk. Because remember, my trades have nothing that's going to impact the market. The market's going to do what it's going to do. Most people think they can move market. That's where they get it wrong. They start chasing prices and they believe that their trade has an impact to move markets. No, it doesn't. Hell no. The market will do what it's going to do. And it always has. You should remove that bias from yourself. Okay. Most people would go, I don't have that bias, but you do. Because that's a human sentiment. People want to be right. That's a human thing. It's nothing to do with trading. It's a human thing. People want to be right. They want to be right. That's why, like I've been saying for the last, a year and a half, what do I say? I don't care if I'm wrong. I just don't want to lose money, right? So I don't actually care if I'm right or wrong. Generally, I tend to be right because whatever, right? But I don't really care. Because first of all, I would have hedge against it. So I would go, what if I'm wrong? I would always trade that way. What if I'm wrong? If I'm wrong, would I lose a lot of money? And if I would lose a lot of money, why am I doing this? If I'm wrong, I'm only going to lose 0.5%. Okay. If I'm wrong, I'm going to lose 10%. What if I'm wrong? And how do I hedge against that? Right? It's a human thing, guys. It's nothing to do with trading. It's a human thing. People want to be. That's what you're taught from a young age, right and wrong. You cannot get rid of those. You've only been started trading for, most people here only for a couple of years, but you've lived your life for the last whatever many years. You cannot overwrite what you learned for the last 20, 30 years in the next 1 to 2 years. It's not a thing. You've learned your whole life about right and wrong, and it's more good to be right than to be wrong. You cannot override that impulse, that mentality the next day. It's not a thing. It's not possible. Even if someone tells you it's possible, it's not. That's the fact. You're all humans. We're not robots. You cannot just turn the switch off, right? You can numb it down as low as possible, but that takes practice. That takes years. I mean, you guys know yourselves better than, me. So be truthful to yourself. Do you do this? If you do, how can you change it? How can you improve it? How can you shift your bias? How can you get rid of it? Right? Think of it that way. So that's so when it comes community trading, one of the worst things about community trading is the idea of being right. My chart is right. My TA is correct. Yours isn't. I want to be right. That's the worst thing about community trading, because it creates that mentality. So it's not all good, right? It's not all good. Of course it's not, because you want to be right. Of course you do, because that's what you learn. You do exams from school. You learned your whole life that there is right and it's wrong. There is answer is correct and there's answer is not correct. Right? So don't worry about those things. The most hardest thing in trading is controlling your emotions. If you can control your emotions and understand simple risk tolerance, you go full stop. You don't even need to understand TA. You don't need to understand TA at all. You just need to understand the simple TA. Simple TA you can understand. You can get a grasp of in a couple of... This is support and resistance. You can get a grasp of support and resistance in a couple of months. It's not hard. Because remember, human beings, your brain is very capable of understanding patterns. It's very good at understanding patterns and trends. So your brain is already good at looking at... The only thing it's not good at is your bias. If you have a bias, the pattern doesn't present itself as a pattern. It presents itself as whatever your bias is. So if your brain is already capable of doing TA quite proficiently, what is restricted? Emotion, bias. So if you can remove that and just that, you are going to be default good at trading. I hope that makes sense, guys. And this is basic stuff I'm talking about here. Yeah, can you record this session, this little talk for the last 10 minutes, Spidero? Because I think this is going to be really helpful to a lot of new people. Because the most hardest thing for new people is just understanding bias. and figuring out that they do have bias, right? Most people think they don't, but they do. That's where they get it wrong. If you go into a trade understanding you have a bias, you should always go, okay, what if I'm wrong? And that's when hedging comes into play. You should never be in a trade and go, I am 100% correct. Only dumb people do that. You should have a trust in your, but you shouldn't never fully trust your TA, because mine can play tricks on you. So you should always go, what if I'm, and hedge against it. If you don't, probably gonna get wrecked. I hope everything I've just talked about in the last 15 minutes, most of you people would be like, Skinner, what the hell are you talking about? But that's only because you haven't been trading for long. That's what you think. That's why you're thinking that way. Trust me, that these things will come up. It always does. Some of you might have already happened. Some of you might not be there yet. But it will come up. Because it's a human condition, chat. It's in your DNA, so as to say.